Good morning, spacemen. A very early thoughts video about Starfield. I played this on my channel now for 4.5 hours, and I'm going to tell you if it's a good experience or if it's not, if it's what I expected for or if it's not. I have a lot of space games that I can compare this to, but I don't want to do it too wild, so we're going to talk about the aspects of the game only. The music, so far, extremely good. The sounds of the weapons are great. The NPCs are talking a lot. They have a lot of additional stuff to say when you click on them a lot of times. So that's quite nice to see that there is a lot of variety in this game. What's actually really cool, I was surprised by that a lot, is that I don't know if that's a spoiler, but I was so surprised because the game actually referred to me as Captain Collins and said it out loud. It was not just a text message, so that I'm something that I was very impressed by. The graphics look great, the animations are smooth, the terrain makes sense, so you're not clipping to a lot of stuff. The game has a grainy look that makes it a little bit more suitable for consoles and PCs alongside, so that you don't see that much of a difference. The consoles in these ships, in a ship, like all the stuff that is flying around in your environment, like all the small objects, they look fantastic. They look placed well. It all behaves good, so that's a definite plus. How does it feel to play on ground and in space? So on ground, it is a solid experience. I would say, someone said, this is like a Fallout experience with a modern engine. And I can just sign that, because that's exactly how it feels like. It feels like you're walking around for a cohesive environment and everything just works like it should be, like it's intended. There are no major issues, no crazy bugs or whatever. There's nothing wild going on. Although I have to say something about the AI in a second. But the ground combat feels good. The weapons feel good. They have like different damage types. You can play around with that. There are even rare weapons that you can find. So there's a rarity system. Then there is a modding system on top of those weapons. So there's a lot of variety there that you can find throughout the game. I hope that there are even maybe some legendaries or whatsoever, but we're not that far to have found them. The AI is behaving like a little bit overpowered. Maybe that also is just the case because I'm playing on very hard. But once the one single AI sees you, everyone knows where you are and they're basically storming on you. I don't know if that's because of it's very hard, or because my robot is like walking around everywhere just in front of everyone's face. That's another thing. I really dislike that robot. It's helping sometimes. It has got a lot of inventory space, but it is just all the time in my face. It's like standing in front of me. It's like walking into enemies. It starts random fights and I can't give that robot commands. So that's I did that robot. How is it in space? Well, in space, it's very limited. The flight model is a little bit like the one from No Man's Sky. So if you played No Man's Sky, you already know how to fight, basically. You do not have ammunition in your spaceship, which is actually really nice. Otherwise, not really realistic. So your ballistic weapons and your missiles and whatsoever, they're replenishing. So you can just fight and fight and fight and fight. And I hope that the ships will get more agile the more you like change them whatsoever. But at the moment, the starter ship is like a chunky thing that has got some decent weapons, but it's not really the best. I mean, you just got it gifted, so don't have high expectations on that. One thing that is really bothering me is like the question if this game is a space game, because I have an issue with calling Starfield a space game. If I have to call Starfield anything, it would be a game on multiple planets with jumping from point of interest to point of interest. The same goes for space. There is no real travel. So I can argue that, or maybe the Bethesda argues that they're pulling everything out of spaceflight that is just taking away your time and it's maybe not as enjoyable as they think. Because as a space gamer, I actually like to see when I fly from A to B, and it takes some time, yes, sometimes. Maybe not as extensive as it is in Star Citizen, where you have to fly like everywhere, and especially like atmospheres are really big. I don't need this, but maybe in a model like Spaceborne, for example, or in a model like No Man's Sky, so you can fly around on the surface, and then you can fly in space, and then you can fly around in space. And in between those, there's a transition. Everything is a transition in Starfield, and you cannot fly around with your spaceship on planets. This is a real bummer. Really, really bummer. So is it what I was expecting? My expectations changed before this game came out, and I was thinking of Starfield as a Fallout game or an Elder Scrolls based in a different set, in this case in space. What I have not expected is that it does feel less than an open world game than any other Fallout or Elder Scrolls, where you have an open map and you can travel everywhere you want, and there is basically no limitation. In Starfield, you have limitations. You can go everywhere, but it feels as if you get from instance to instance to instance. I do like the game. The gameplay is great, and I had like almost tears in my eyes when we started with this game, but it is a different game than maybe some are expecting it to be. Keep that in mind when you make your decision. Definitely take a look at, I wouldn't say reviews, but maybe take a look into some gameplay here and there if you like it, and make your own buying decision. I like it so far. I can't wait to play more of it, but with a different mindset that I had from the start. I hope that helped you, and we'll see us on twitch.tv/CaptainCollins, where we'll be playing Starfield the entire month, and hopefully even New Game Plus. Who knows? On very hard. We'll see you there. Bye bye.